Fire up your grills. It's time for Tallahassee Game Day on Warchant TV and Real Talk 93.3.
That pass is intercepted to the delight of all Seminole fans. The pick six.
Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang bring you the latest news, updates, and analysis around the FSU program ahead of today's kickoff on Bobby Bowden Field.
2nd and 3. Patient and explosive. And a touchdown for the Noles.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now live from Florida's capital city, here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron.
Bright and early, ready to roll. Welcome in Tallahassee Game Day. Appreciate you tuning in as Florida State gets set this afternoon to take on and welcome Louisville to town. Of course, this game, 3:30, Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field. Great weather if you're watching from outside the Tallahassee area. ESPN2 will have Anish Shroff on the call and Mike Golick Jr. as the color analyst, Taylor McGregor on the sideline. And, of course, you can follow along on warchant.com, message boards and the like, and entertain each other as Florida State seeks to get their first win of the year. Not fun to begin each one of these broadcasts having that conversation, but that's the reality in which Florida State lives currently, and it will be interesting. I think we're going to be watching very, very closely as warm-ups begin later today, because a lot of this is contingent on health for Florida State, and by this I mean whether or not they can get that win and pull off a mild upset at home against Louisville. Before we get going here, should note, pregame, postgame, no game at all. Anytime is the right time for Zaxby's platters, just as long as you're hungry. Feed your team of 12 to 14 with your choice of traditional or buffalo fingers or boneless or traditional wings. If you're having trouble deciding, get the best of both worlds with a sampler platter. It's what we have here. It's what you guys should pick up on your way over to the tailgate. We want to thank them for sponsoring Tallahassee Game Day. Don't forget that world-famous sauce. Satisfy your chicken craving with Zaxby's platters. Order online or in the app. Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud Seminole booster for over 15 years. And so Florida State has to learn from their mistakes, says Mike Norvell. You know, he's not wrong. People roll their eyes, but it is interesting. I'll read directly from a quote from this week. This is Mike Norvell about Florida State's plight through these first few games, including after last week's 35-14 loss against Wake Forest, in which Florida State turned it over 6 times, which will hurt your feelings to say the least. We're having to go through some painful moments, said Norvell. It's challenging. We're a young team. We've got guys that are being put in positions where, with all the right intentions, they're learning some tough lessons they haven't experienced before. And for us, we can't allow the pain of some of our failures to go wasted. We've got to learn those lessons, and we've got to apply those lessons. So for Florida State, who has 23 true or redshirt freshmen amongst the 54 players on the offensive and defensive depth chart, which is, 42, almost 43% of the rotational players, and that's not factoring in redshirt freshmen who are kickers and punters. For Florida State, it's a weird thing to have to do, but you do have to summon something in the way of wisdom and knowledge gleaned from each of these performances, as painful and frustrating as they've been. Of course, they have been losses. I get what Mike Norvell is saying there. I think the question mark we have surrounding this program right now is, are they learning those lessons? Because when you go out in game number 1 and play the way that Florida State did against Notre Dame, and then follow it up with, a stunning, shocking, certainly demoralizing loss at home to an FCS school, only to go on the road and turn it over 6 times and really suffer through some untimely moments, both from officiating but also self-inflicted, then you wonder if lessons are being learned. You wonder if the effort and the attention to detail and the focus is there each week. So you go into a game like today understanding that a lot has already been lost, but something has to be gained and lessons have to be learned. It is my great hope, obviously, that Florida State today goes out and plays well, and you begin to see signs of real growth. I think fans that come into town today, and you'll enjoy a beautiful weather day for this football game. There is something to be excited about, at least in that regard. As you make your way into the stadium today, really very little chance of rain. It'll be in the low 80s, high 70s. It should be a perfect day for football. And that is something I'm reminded of. I know, when things are bleak, you try to latch on to something that gives you hope and makes you feel good. Well, certainly having great game day weather in the fall at Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field is something to celebrate, because you're going to be with like-minded folks, loved ones and friends, people that want to see Florida State take that step. Let's see. Let's see if, in fact, you get some growth here. I think for Florida State, it begins, as I alluded to a moment ago, with whether or not you were able to get Maurice Smith back, whether or not you're able to get Robert Scott back, because we've seen what this team is up front, and we've seen what they are when they get injured. And, they weren't going to be a dominant group on the offensive line, but they had a chance to compete. They had a chance to field 5 guys, that maybe 6 guys that you thought, okay, ACC middle of the road caliber linemen, give you a chance to make some plays with 2 pretty good backs. I think you have maybe 2 to 3 really good backs. And of course, they haven't been able to do that because of those injuries. So it's been touch and go. If you're just tuning in, you've wondered about it all week long. It's really been sort of a touch and go situation this week at practice for those 2 players, for this offensive line. It's not that they don't want to play. It's not like they're not trying like hell. They are. Lord knows they see and know the importance of this. Coach Adkins has been, I think, pretty forthright in talking about his offensive line and what they can and can't do. And, you're having to put guys at times in situations that, frankly, it's not ideal. You wouldn't have them out there. You wouldn't, some guys that just aren't either capable or ready. And he keeps getting asked, as these coaches do, and they're going to be asked more and more as this season goes along. Hey, if the veteran players or some of your veteran starters aren't getting the job done, can't we just go young? Well, not if they're not ready. Not if they have not produced in practice or in situations. If you don't trust that they know what they're doing, that can be problematic. You can ruin guys. You can. That's a big thing. You talk about this in baseball all the time, for example, to switch sports. But, you get a pitcher out there when he's too young, you call him up and you let him go through a tough start. You can ruin a guy's confidence, and all of a sudden you're battling more than just the physical. So it's my hope, certainly, that guys are coming along and that they're getting closer and closer, because I think as Florida State goes through this season and navigates this season, they are going to need to begin to play a lot of the young guys. Because let's be honest, what you're doing at that point is you're getting guys experience for next year. And nobody likes to talk about that. Nobody likes to think about next year, especially just 3 games into a football season. But I understand that you have to start preparing guys. Also, there's some real talent there too. That's the other thing. If you're kind of watching closely at personnel and you're wondering game in and game out what the tenor is within that locker room and within that coaching staff, what their offices, if you will, like where are they leaning? Kind of watch closely to see what these rotations are in that secondary as well. We talked all preseason about a guy like Shaheen Brown, and we talked about Kevin Noles, guys like that. Those are guys that have real talent and not a lot of experience. And at some point, you give them that opportunity, especially if other guys are not stepping up and playing well. If other guys who have had that experience have continued to fail you, then you're going to have to probably start relying on some of those younger players. By the way, for Louisville, today's opponent, they're 2-1. They come off a 42-35 win against UCF. Obviously, feeling like they have a little bit of momentum. If you watch that game, kind of a weird game. They were fortunate to get a win, but at this point, obviously, we would all just take a win. I think that most people watched that first game against Ole Miss and thought Louisville has real problems and have not progressed much, but they've had a better version of Malik Cunningham lately. And if you want to see early in this game what's going to happen for Florida State or what kind of chance they have to win this game, and at the very least slow Louisville's offense down, you got to find a way to hit the quarterback. And that is the one area where Florida State has improved immensely. This was a team a year ago that simply put couldn't hit the quarterback. And this year, if you look nationally and you look at statistics, you'll note that Florida State hits the quarterback a lot. and one of the best at doing it in a per pass basis in the country. So there is a strength, and it is this Florida State defensive line. It is this Florida State's quickness off the edge with Jermaine Johnson. I think that if you hit Malik Cunningham, we've seen this in the past, a lot of times that helps produce bad Malik Cunningham. Good Malik Cunningham runs around and makes plays and feels comfortable doing it and isn't shook early in the game and begins to feel like he's got a real opportunity to play well. So, that's something that on the other side, I would look at very, very closely to find out whether or not Florida State can get some hits on Malik Cunningham early in this game, because I think you have a chance then. It's not an explosive offense. It's not an explosive offense for Louisville. It can be a playmaking offense because of his ability to buy time and to hurt you with his legs. And Louisville has employed him in the running game because they're kind of ordinary, if you will, at running back. They're kind of an ordinary team at running back. There's nothing that stands out, all that flashy. Dylan Mitchell is a physical runner. He's going to challenge you and ask whether or not you want to stick your head in there and make some tackles. But he's not a guy that's going to break away for a real long gain. So it's something that I think for Florida State, show up early, stick your head in there and make some tackles and get a hit on the quarterback. Myself and Tom Lang talked before the show. We recorded that. You'll hear that segment coming up next on Tallahassee Game Day.
For the Kraft Brothers dealerships, the Kraft Nissan.
Imagine a salad made with only the freshest vegetables, with grilled or hand-breaded chicken, and topped with Southwest Ranch dressing. Big enough to fill you up without weighing you down. Made to order, when you order, in that order. Try our new Southwest salad with fire-roasted corn, tomatoes, and crispy tortilla strips. Just one of our made-to-order salads, only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
That are equipped. Plus, the second row seats easily slide and flip forward to allow access to the third row, even with a child seat installed. And finally, Car and Driver says savvy shoppers will be surprised by the new Armada's luxuriousness. So I encourage SUV lovers to come see the new Nissan family of SUVs. Everyone knows that Nissan SUVs have more standard equipment than the competition. The award-winning Rogue, Pathfinder, and Armada, only at Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive, Tallahassee.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Hey, Noles fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state government, including public health and emergency response agencies, our friends at ISF recognize September as National Preparedness Month and want to help you be safe this hurricane season. Visit ISF.com to learn more and download your emergency preparedness plan today. ISF, solving the future.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money. But then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff, or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville.
You want to do for the logo. I guess you can leave it with him. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Tallahassee GameDay is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Florida State getting set to take on Louisville, searching for their first victory of the year. Didn't expect to say that coming into this Tallahassee game day. I didn't expect, before the season, I should say. Obviously, I knew all week long we were going to say that Florida State was still searching for their first victory, because that is the reality that this team finds themselves in now. And I think the depth of blame that there is to go around for this program and the current state it's in would keep us here for another 2 hours, maybe 3. This isn't a easy fix-all, quick turnaround. This isn't one man is responsible for all the woes or the things that ail Florida State football. This is layered, complicated, and I know for you, if you came into town for this game, God bless you. You are loyal in ways that deserve our attention, and bravo. But if you're listening to this from afar or in town tailgating, nobody wants to hear that this is going to take a very long time. But that is the reality, Tom. I did some more thinking and contemplating on this last night, and knowing in preparation we were going to talk about this. And I also know that in going back and looking at certain situations in the game, in the last game, the Wake Forest game, there are a couple calls that are really timely calls, good calls, and we just don't have the ability to execute them. And when you have injuries on your offensive line, it really, if you think about what they said before the season started, they had, I think they said 7 guys they liked. I thought 7 was a stretch. They said 7. And I think it's because they were including Dante Lucas, who's not dependable, but athletically speaking on the offensive line was a guy you could use that is better than your alternative at certain positions that you're using now. So, for example, when Robert Scott was out, you have to replace him with a guy that can't play at this level at all. He is not a good player. He shouldn't be on the field at any point in major college football. And then when you have Maurice Smith out at center, you have to put Baby on there. You ruin your ability to slide people and have your best group out there. So you end up having to play some guys that have no business playing college football. Well, not at this level. I'm sorry. No business playing college football at this level. And it showed. It eliminates a big chunk of your playbook. And so I think that what we're now seeing is a coaching staff that I hope realizes that there are just certain things they cannot do and that there is no need to experiment anymore. Pick something, identify yourself as such, and play to it in the hopes to improve upon it as the year goes along. But you can't try week to week entirely different schemes in the hopes that something sticks against the wall.
And you're trying entirely different schemes even before there's an injury, because you've got 2 quarterbacks that you're, drawing up different plays for. So if you're an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, running, anybody who's involved outside of the quarterback in the offense, your responsibilities are going to be different based upon the quarterback that's in.
Right.
So you're not even good enough to begin with, and now you're going to stretch your brain to do two different concentrations, two different styles of offense.
That's a fair criticism. I think that's a fair criticism on your part. I think it's the frustration some of the fans feel. It also speaks to the sheer desperation that this coaching staff feels when they gaze upon the personnel. Now,
right, that's what we don't like. That's what I think that's the higher level question, which is, can you handle the pressure of the moment? Do you have the patience to forego trying to make things happen that either you didn't rep or you didn't install for a given week because something hits you in the face in the moment? Can you stick to something? Because there are going to be, let's just say you succeed long-term, and this is the group that we succeed with, coordinators and coaches. People don't believe that now, but let's just argue it for a moment. There are going to be higher stakes moments to come if you are successful as a program. Bigger games. We'll actually have a number next to our name. Not 120, 18, 12, 8. And we'll be playing another team that's ranked. Okay, what happens when Alabama 3 years from now? Better example, what happens when LSU in the near future, a flawed program in its own right, can stop what you want to do and shows a different look than you expected during the week? Are you going to have the stomach a year or two from now, if the program is advanced, to stick to the game plan?
Yeah. So if you guys don't listen to the Jeff Cameron Show weekdays, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3, then you missed out on this. And so I want to circle back to make, to emphasize Tom's point here. It's better, especially when you're losing, I think in general, for coaches to say less, not more, in press conferences and Q&As with the media. And that is maddening as a member of the media to have to admit. But you cannot win if you're too honest. You cannot win if you deflect. You cannot win if you just say what is plainly obvious, because the fans are angry and there isn't a right answer for 0-3. No matter what you say, you're going to be blamed. But certainly something that you have to understand does not sound good to a fan base is when a coach, and in this case it's Kenny Dillingham, admits that a team ran something completely different than you expected them to run. It caught you off guard. You were ill prepared for it, and you didn't have answers. Because people will immediately then say, well, that is what you're here to do. You are paid handsomely to make adjustments on the fly to the adjustments those you're seeking to defeat make against you. This is a game of chess, not checkers, Kenny. This is when you have to show what it is you're good at. Even if the truth is the reason these teams are all going to come out of what they normally do is because they don't respect your ability to block them, and or they do not expect that your receivers can make them pay.
Right. So his argument would be that we need gadgets and gizmos.
That is the right argument.
And once we run out of them, we've got no chance. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct.
That's wrong in this particular game. Here's why.
Okay.
Now you're saying that these backup offensive linemen are not the caliber of Florida State University. I would agree with that.
I don't think they're the caliber of Wake.
Okay. Are they the caliber of Old Dominion?
Maybe.
Could they play at Old Dominion University?
Perhaps.
Because if they could, they would have, if you stuck to the run game, brought you enough positive plays that you could have formed some sort of identity for the 60 minutes in the football game. That's exactly what Old Dominion did to Wake Forest.
Yes. Now, again, if in watching this game again, I would say that, yes, I agree. You have to attach yourself to a game plan, and we didn't have one. So that is disconcerting. I don't think you would have won this game either way. I don't think you would have won this game sticking to the run or deciding, screw it, we're going to throw it on every down. I don't think either one would have worked. But to your point, you would have given yourself a better opportunity by running the football. It appears that Wake's front is not a dominant front. You might have been able to make hay. Teams are hip to the angles we created against Notre Dame. The problem with what we did against Notre Dame in that it was ingenious because you're not physically capable of blocking them, that you decided to beat them to a spot and create angles. That's Atkins being a good coach. Now the gig is up because it's on film, and that surprises nobody. And Jacksonville State even adjusted to that. So I don't know that what we have moving forward without the health of Smith and Scott is a chance in any game other than the UMass game. And that really is not anything a coordinator can say in a press conference and not anything that fans ever want to hear, but perhaps the reality of the situation we find ourselves in. Now, again, you're paid to go to work every day and figure something out. So don't tell me hands to the sky, don't know what to do. I don't want to hear that. That's why less is more.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say these things, even if it's fair, and it's not because you're paid to figure something out. And that's what you have to say repeatedly. But I get it. I can only imagine watching Mackenzie Milton try to throw a pass beyond 25 yards and seeing how it flutters in the air forever and a day. I can only imagine watching Jordan Travis get up after being tackled on the second play of the game and wincing. How desperate you must feel knowing that Chubba Purdy can't play. So you've seen him every day in practice. He can't play. So now all of a sudden, what do? I can't block, and I don't have a starting quarterback worth a damn.
Right. And so what it sounds like from the Monday press conference is that he crammed all week and he couldn't come up with an answer and just hoped that Wake Forest would live up to its tendencies.
And Wake did not. And now what'll happen is, and he did
That's
say,
absurd, by the way.
He also did say he has to do a better job of having foresight, for lack of a better term,
right?
That teams are not going to run what they want to run or what they normally run because they don't have to.
Yeah, yet another reason that less is more. Because remember, last year, this same offensive coordinator was bragging about how Mike Norvell has a plan for rain. We've got a plan for everything at Florida State.
Well, in terms of practicing, that's true.
Well, situationally speaking, I guess that you don't have a plan for everything because they run man, and you think, oh, God, what do we do? All right. So that's the message this Monday is they ran something we didn't expect. Oh, God, what do we do?
No, but he expounded. He was asked a variety of questions, and he gave an answer repeatedly that seems to suggest that, well, we have man beaters, but they don't get open.
Right.
Now,
what's interesting about that to me, though, is if they're playing man-free, then why is there a six-man box at all times? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
If you're playing man-free, that means that seven are going to be in the box consistently because of our personnel groupings, right?
And I would think the other part of that is that there could have been a robber, and they could have just said, you know what, we're not gonna make it so that you can throw in the middle of the field and take advantage of that because we can't beat anybody on the outside.
Sure, but if they're going to give you a six-man box and you can't beat anybody on the inside, take a negative play every once in a while. Why do you turn away from it at the first sign of trouble? Because it's the only thing that's giving you positive consistency on
and
offense.
Inconsistency is the fair criticism. They are not consistent in what they rep and then what they do in a game, or what they say and then do in a game. That has to change. The results, I guess what I'm warning the fan base in this segment is the results might not change, even if they get it right. I'm saying, and I'm begging them to do that. I'm begging them to do that. Give me something to hang my hat on every Saturday, meaning a player.
Right.
I know what is expected of me. Now, maybe I get whipped because I'm not good enough, but at least I know I've got to do this. This is what we are.
We may disagree on some of the assembly line pieces of the order of the operations, but we completely agree on this. You didn't even give yourself a chance. You didn't give yourself a chance offensively. There was nothing continuous about the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And I don't care if an offensive lineman got hurt. If you look at the film, and this is from a neophyte over here compared to these experts. And they are much more, the breadth of their knowledge. I mean, it does laps around the world compared to mine. But if you look at Wake, they had one glaring deficiency, and that was on the ground. You can't get scared away from that. And now you didn't even have a chance in the second half. That's like down the stretch of this game, you didn't even give yourself a chance, offensively speaking. And that's where I get mad. You're right. The result might not be there, even if you did.
Yeah.
But guess what? The game was out of hand in the fourth quarter because you didn't.
Well, and because you turned it over 6 times. But I would also say this.
Downfield passes. You're calling shots? What are we doing?
Well, all they have are shot plays. I think you have the wrong guy trying to throw them. I don't think McKenzie can get the ball down the field. This is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
If you gave yourself the best position or the best chance to win against Jacksonville State, you win by multiple scores, right?
Correct. If you didn't use that as a glorified scrimmage, which they did, and that was a mistake. And obviously they've paid a dear price for that mistake in the form of a loss and a lack of trust.
If you do it against Wake Forest, put yourself in the best position. You've got a real You think so? Definitively speaking.
Wake didn't even try in the fourth quarter. I don't think Wake attempted to do much of anything in the second half once they got up 3 scores. It doesn't even look like they didn't even care to convert first downs, and they still converted first downs and kept us on the field for a time. I mean,
I'll live in a what-if world for a moment. What if Wake Forest wasn't on the field the entire first half because there was a little bit more consistency out of the plan? The defense doesn't run out of gas as early. Plus, Wake committed more penalties than we did.
Oh, I'm not complaining about penalties. I'm complaining about 2 crucial calls that went against Florida State that were BS calls that cost this team bigger than people are willing to admit. They see 35-14, and they say, well, this game wasn't close. Perhaps Florida State loses no matter what. That roughing the punter call is garbage. That's Florida State's ball, not Wake Forest's ball. It ends up being Wake's ball. They go down and score. That matters greatly when you're fragile and broken and don't believe. Then the call against Jerry Jones on the sideline is a made-up, make-believe, nonsense call. Once again, Florida State got off the field in that situation and got screwed by ACC officials. And I'm not the guy that beats the drum about officiating, but those 2 calls actually did have a huge impact on the first half of that game. The first half of that game was greatly affected by those 2 ridiculous calls. I can't ignore that. I won't ignore that. I don't use it as a sole excuse. The coaches haven't coached well. That's obvious. We know that. You wouldn't be 0-3 if they had coached well. But that's a big deal what they called there, and that really hurt this team. And that also is very illuminating as to how fragile and how weak as a roster this team is, that they can't handle those things. They can't overcome those things.
I'd also ignore the 2 deep moving forward at quarterback. What was the point of last week?
No, I don't know what that's
What's
about.
the point?
I don't know what that's about.
He gets 2 plays, one's a fumble, and then he's gone. So that's where I agree with you. Those calls, they are massive.
They're
massive
huge
implications,
calls. Yeah.
but it's 0.4. And you know how hard it is to make those like the 4th point of importance in the game?
Yeah.
Like that's the level of ineptitude that's not even a headliner.
Right. Well, the other problem we have now is this is all firmly established. They're a bad football team. You have a coaching staff that's not handling that situation very well. Their personnel is not very good. It doesn't appear that it's going to get better. On the back end, you got some kids who play hard that just aren't good, Brownlee being one of them. So it is fascinating. I've never seen Florida State in this position. I don't go back far enough to have seen a time.
Stunning.
Where this is a thing. Tallahassee Noles, take note. This one's for you, announcing the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nolan Tallahassee, text Bud Light fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light fan, all one word, to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU-Miami game on November the 13th. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter. Please enjoy responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch beverage distributor Tri-Eagle Sales.
Attention! It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, our new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty. Roast beef and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Witch Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Bert, tomorrow, 3:30, kickoff at Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field. Louisville playing decent, better than FSU. What is your score prediction for tomorrow's game?
13-45, Florida State.
45-13?
Yep, 45-13. Big win.
45-13, Maddie. That's a blowout, dude. Okay.
Awesome, brother. Say, always great talking to you. I can't wait to see you in Tallahassee.
Fantastic. Bert Kreischer, everybody.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Real Talk fact number 44. Banging your head against the wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories.
This is Real Talk 93.3.
Tallahassee's Real Talk station. Real Talk fact number 22. If tomatoes are fruit, that makes ketchup a smoothie. Yummy!
This is Real Talk 93.3.
We are the talk of the town. Really, we are. This is Real Talk 93.3. Real Talk fact number 82. There are three kinds of people in the world. Those who can count and those who can't. This is Real Talk 93.3. Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Today's offensive keys to the game are brought to you by the Hobbit American Grill. The Hobbit American Grill celebrating over 40 years of serving good times to good people for great memories. Get your game day going. 2020 West Pensacola Street. For more locations, head to myhobbitonline.com. Well, listen, we just got done talking at length about what you can and can't do when your offensive line is banged up and or deficient in other areas, and you really do worry about it. I would say this for Florida State, and we've kind of talked at either directly at this or around it all week long. You want to see something that does not reek of desperation, even in a desperate situation. That's what makes it hard, because when fans see what I've described as sort of the inconsistencies from week to week in terms of a game plan and what it's centered around, and then you hear your offensive coordinator mention that that they were practicing against one look and got another look. And listen, I know what he's saying. He's saying teams come out of what they do when they play Florida State because they don't respect our wide receivers. So whatever it is they like to do on defense, they'll go away from because they know Florida State can't make them pay if they're in one-on-one situations. And so today would be a day where, you feature a lot of Trayshawn Ward and Jayshawn Corbin, and in as many creative ways as possible, because you don't really have many other options. Also, being able to sustain that and really dedicate yourself to that, I think builds to something ultimately that by the end of the year you might be doing pretty well. And it would provide this lost identity, this identity that we've been searching for. So I'll be curious to see how they go about that. I don't have a lot of good answers for how you find a way to do it when you're in the predicament that Florida State finds themselves in. But I do think that obviously that's why guys get paid a lot of money and spend time, putting together game plans during the week. It's not like you can't go out and it's not like you can ignore certain aspects of your personnel and you seek, and we know what coordinators do on both sides of the ball. You try to hide your weaknesses and you try to highlight your strengths and play to those. So to me, the offense clearly has to be centered around the two strengths, which are Corbin and Ward. And however you need to feature them, we'll see if they're able to do that today. I do think Louisville's linebackers are decent. The back end of Louisville's defense appears to be the strength, at least athletically. Of course, Florida State's receivers haven't been able to expose much, so that doesn't bode well. But I think also offensively, what Florida State can do to shorten the game, and they're going to have to do this a lot, I think, all year long. That a big part of what they're going to need to do is find a way to shorten games and get into the fourth quarter with a chance, because you just lack the explosiveness and the overall talent to be able to, play up tempo. You can't really do that, I don't think. And I don't think you want more possessions, fewer possessions. Also, when you are fundamentally struggling in every facet of the game, you want to see, I think, as fans today, a game where, and I noticed somebody noted this on the chat too. Yeah, I get what you're saying there about a clean game. You'd like to see a clean game. And that includes, you're coming off a contest in which you turn the ball over 6 times. So if you're able to minimize turnovers, Stop putting your defense in terrible predicaments. Guys play smart. It is, again, a little bit overrated in terms of penalties and fans' obsession with talking about penalties. It's the kinds of penalties that we reference. You can live with penalties that are born out of aggression. What you can't live with are the penalties that reveal disorganization. And I think that more than anything else, when we talk about playing a clean game, we don't need alignment issues, too many men on the field, that kind of stuff. That drives everybody nuts because of what it means. And I understand that. I agree with that. I don't, I'll live, if guys get in trouble being a little overzealous, being overly aggressive, well, football is a game of extreme aggression, and I'm going to live with that. Also, if you're making mistakes and you make them at 100 miles per hour, coaches will live with that. It is, again, whether or not you're revealing an aggressive style of play or a disorganized style of play, because that's how this thing gets uglier by the week, is losses coupled with those reveals. And that can't happen for Mike and this staff. That has to be kind of what gets cleaned up, by the way. The Zaxby's Game Day VIP upgrade contest is in full flight. Zaxby's has donated their season tickets to you. That's a good thing. You heard that right. For every home game this season, Zaxby's is hooking up one lucky fan with the ultimate seating upgrade. You can win a pair of 50-yard line seats, perfect seats at that, to the Noles' next home game. All you have to do is head to Twitter. Tag Warchant and Zaxby's with a photo or video of your Nole experience. You can shoot a video of your tailgate, perhaps your man cave, whatever it is, your reaction to a big play. Hey, wouldn't that be nice? Like a good big play, wouldn't that be good? Whatever being a Nole means to you, we want to see it. We'll select the winner the Wednesday before the Noles' next home game and then show off your entry during our next pregame show. That's in 3 days, so you're going to get to work. Everyone make sure to tag Warchant and Zaxby's with your fan photo or video, and good luck. Our thanks to Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans, for providing the tickets all season long. And this last winner was Andrew Peacock. Congratulations to Andrew Peacock. There you go, right there on the screen if you're watching at home or on Warchant TV, wherever you are. Here they are, fan experience. They dropped off and took the photos and, again, tagged, as I said, at Warchant and at Zaxby's. Appreciate you. Tallahassee Game Day continues in a moment.
Tallulah Talk After Hours. Your home.
Imagine a salad made with only the freshest vegetables, with grilled or hand-breaded chicken, and topped with Southwest Ranch dressing. Big enough to fill you up without weighing you down. Made to order, when you order, in that order. Try our new Southwest salad with fire-roasted corn, tomatoes, and crispy tortilla strips. Just one of our made-to-order salads. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards. Scan to pay. Order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Uninvited in my home, I want it gone. Now. Not next Tuesday, not tomorrow. Today. Pretty sure I'm not sleeping knowing that thing is crawling around in my house. That's why I call Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Here in Tallahassee, Paul's guarantees same-day service if I call before 1. Ants, roaches, mice, wasps, fleas, whatever it is, Paul's responds with guaranteed same-day service. Pretty sure I've never heard that from any other pest company. Guess that's an advantage to being a locally owned and operated company like Paul's Termite and Pest Control. They're here and make things happen fast.
We at Paul's know when you have some pest or rodent in your home, you want it out now. That's why in Tallahassee, we guarantee same-day service. You call us before 1, we'll be there before 5, guaranteed. That's our commitment to you. The health and protection of North Florida friends and neighbors is the reason we love our jobs.
For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all. Learn more at callpauls.com.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money, but then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.
Our friends at Triangle Sales bring you an opportunity to enjoy a one-of-a-kind experience presented by Bud Light. It's the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nole in Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU and Miami game on November 13th. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. Must be 21 or older to enter. Please enjoy Bud Light responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch distributor Triangle Sales.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Tallahassee Game Day, rolling on. Appreciate you joining us. If you're listening, driving around, maybe at your tailgate, good on you. Hope you're enjoying the weather, getting set for Florida State Louisville today at 3:30. By the way, just as an aside before I get to the sub of the game, I will note that this line barely moved all week long. It really is remarkable to see that we're talking about under a field goal here and Louisville slight favorite, even with them coming off a win against UCF and Florida State not having won a game. I find it interesting. And again, I think it's because Louisville is a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. And I also think it's because Florida State's defensive line has played well this year. We talked about this earlier. You know, I understand that you've got a mobile quarterback coming into this game, and it'll be hard to get him on the ground. And he's a kid that can make you miss and make you look bad at times. But he is a guy that has had his troubles when hit and has oftentimes kind of shrunk from the moments when teams have been able to get to him early. Florida State had just 9 sacks in the 9 games they played a year ago, but they've already accumulated 12 so far this year. And in addition to that, you know, we talk about what Jermaine Johnson's done. That was probably the one thing that everybody got most right about fall camp, about the spring, about who this guy is. And it's his leadership and his toughness that helps form a group that I think has really kind of remained in the fight. And I think that's, if you're looking for positivity today, if you're looking for something to hang your hat on that you can feel good about, I think Florida State will be ready to play football today. It doesn't mean that they're going to go on to win the game. We keep saying that. I know it's an ugly caveat to have to continue to reference, but when teams of the past, and Lord knows there have been a lot of losses that have been mounting here in Tallahassee over the last 4 seasons, but teams in the past, when things went south, when things weren't going as anticipated, had a tendency pretty early on in games to not only hang their head, but maybe not play as hard as you'd like. And that became untenable. That's not something, nobody respects quitters. Nobody respects guys that won't give their all. If you're in competition and you're an athlete, that's not really an option. And so when you see it play out, I think it's unlikable. It's also extremely frustrating because the one thing you can control is effort. And a lot of those cliches, we roll our eyes, we hear coaches say those things in our youth, but they turn out to be true. And I've noted, and I went back and watched that Wake game again, and I heard a couple of people out there that cover this team say that they thought that at times effort was lacking. I didn't see it. I didn't see plays in which effort was lacking. Do you see, excuse me, do you see demoralized players? Do you see sometimes body language that suggests that they're downtrodden? Yeah, well, when you're getting your ass kicked, that'll happen. But what you didn't see was a lack of hustle on plays or a lack of want to. And a big part of that is, again, I think a guy like Jermaine Johnson, who not only came over to get his opportunity to be a star, to have the kind of season that'll get him drafted high, but also he is just, when you talk to him and you get to know him a little bit, seemingly a born leader. I mean, people gravitate to him. Now it helps that he can really play. He's already got 28 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks. Think about how lacking that's been for Florida State. It is really impressive. I mean, that's impressive numbers. I don't know that a lot of Florida State fans realize that. 28 tackles, 7 for loss, and 5 for sacks. He's been really good for Florida State. Today's sub of the game, or which of the game, is served up by Which Superior Sandwiches. Did you know, Tallahassee, that on Wednesdays, the Wicked is just $5? That's right, 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5. At any of Which's 3 Tallahassee locations for a superior sandwich today. You know, it's kind of hard when you think about subs of the game. There are real obvious candidates. And I will say this before I give you mine for this week. I want to commend Bavion Johnson, who's had to play for Maurice Smith. And I say that because at times in the past, I've been pretty hard on him. He's not been what we had hoped he could be when he was heavily recruited and well thought of. He's not a guy that has been too terribly dominant. But in this, his 16th season with the Noles, Bavion has emerged to be a pretty consistent player when called upon. Again, not ideal. You'd like to have Maurice Smith back out there. But Bavion has been, dare I say, serviceable, at times even better than serviceable. So, you know, he's a sub in a sense because of Maurice Smith's absence. But, you know, obviously Bavion has played an awful lot of football. This is a wishful thinking sub of the game. And I don't know if he's ready in the sense that obviously he's a freshman. But I've talked at length about how absent our tight ends are in this offense. It drives me nuts to see that tight end room. Now, it's not a spectacular group. You know, Cam McDonald is not a big game-changing player. Jordan Wilson is certainly not. He's had opportunities to make some catches and has not done that. But he's a big body who can block. And if Florida State's going to rely heavily on the run game, you're going to need Jordan Wilson. But I feel like moving forward, a guy that we should begin to see a little bit more of is Jackson West. When we watch Jackson West, now listen, that room consists of Cam McDonald, Jordan Wilson, Wyatt Rector, and Jackson West. You know, to some extent, obviously Carter Boatwright and Marcuston Douglas and those guys. But you've got to see something, I think, from a Jackson West who's physically tough enough to help you in the run game and then has some athleticism to him in catching the football. I'd like to see him come along today because I think that you're going to have to find a way to incorporate these guys. You don't have a lot of diversity in this offense right now. Some of that is you're just hamstrung. Some of that is just you're absolutely kind of cornered because of what you can't do with this group up front. But you got to utilize what limited playmaking ability you have. I'd sure like to see something in the way of a tight end step up and give Florida State the momentum that they need in that position group. We haven't seen anything from them, and that would be my sub of the game. He's a guy that mixed it up all through camp. By the way, Jackson West did. He was not afraid to get into it with guys. I always want to see, especially young players who have a body type that says they're ready to play. I always want to see where they're at mentally. Do they understand the game? Are they tough? Are they willing to stick their head in there? That guy does that. I'm not saying if you get something out of him today, all of a sudden this offense is really going to hum, but you can't keep going week in and week out without anything from your tight ends. And if you've watched Mike Norvell's offenses of the past, that's the other thing I'll note here. I got to believe that play calling is going to look a little different today. You go back and look at the Q&A after the game, and this is 2 weeks in a row in which I've picked up on Mike's body language about where they're at and some of his frustrations. And to me, it seemed like he was reaching his wits' end with his own staff. Now, he's not going to say that, and he's going to be professional, and he's going to say, you know, those guys are, you know, of like mind and all that. I don't think so. I don't think he was happy about the 4th and 2 call. I think he saw the absurdity of that call. I don't think he likes the fact that they have not been able to incorporate much with their tight ends. They haven't really had an identity. It has looked an awful lot like throwing things against the wall to see what sticks. Again, while fully recognizing that Dillingham has not a lot of options, and it's a guy that basically admitted to you he called, you know, man beaters after he realized what Wake was doing, and we couldn't win those one-on-one matchups. That's tough. that hurts. But you can't just throw your hands in the air and decide you're not going to go with any one thing, but rather all of it. That's no way to navigate your way out of this. Don't forget to order ahead if you want to go from zero to Zaxby's in no time flat. Order ahead online or in the app. Click order now, select the location, then start ordering. Get exactly what you want, how you want it, right when you need it. And when you're ready to pick it up, let us know, and you're here, and basically you'll skip ahead of the line. It's a good thing. It's that easy. Head to Zaxby's.com or download the app to get started. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proud Seminole booster for over 15 years. We'll note this as we get set for the second hour of Tallahassee Game Day. My boy, Tom Lang, up in Kohler, Wisconsin, enjoying, watching, celebrating, rooting for the United States in the Ryder Cup. We'll actually take the time to do a little work. He's going to join us for our interview of the week, and we'll talk to him about some insights that he sees for this week's game. I know he did a feature for Warchant.com, Third and Lang. Get an opportunity to talk a little bit about this offense and go from there. It's Tallahassee Game Day right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Attention! It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, our new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
2% approval rating is 1 point less than the approval rating of President Trump on the exact day in his presidency. Ken Lorman reporting.
Despite affirmations like this from the White House,
I can absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States of America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process.
there are troubling allegations of violent behavior on the part of some newly arrived Afghans. A female service member says she was assaulted by a group of male refugees at a facility in New Mexico. Also, 2 Afghan men housed in Wisconsin have been indicted on federal charges of domestic violence and assaulting a child. Senator Ted Cruz alarmed, taking to Twitter to write that President Biden had no idea who he brought into the U.S. Those never-Trumpers stick together. Embattled GOP Congresswoman Liz Cheney get a helping hand from one of former President Trump's predecessors.
Representative Cheney has drawn the ire of former President Trump, who has endorsed Cheney's challenger. In a new development, George W. Bush will be the featured guest at an October event in Dallas, supporting Cheney's re-election campaign in Wyoming. With 2 former Republican presidents choosing sides, the race highlights 2 competing factions of the GOP. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Forecasters expect Hurricane Sam to intensify into a major storm today, but no watches or warnings have been posted. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn from Finn Chiropractic. The number one myth about chiropractic is you don't have to take care of your spine until it hurts. Most patients come in with symptoms, neck pain, back pain, headaches. Those are not the cause of your problem. That's the result of your problem. So unmask the cause of your problem at Finn Chiropractic through the Phenomenal Health Examination. So if you're a loved one or having neck pain, back pain, or headaches, don't mask the symptom, unmask the cause at Finn Chiropractic, because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Growing up, my dad used to take me to the game at the stadium. We'd watch our favorite team play, and we'd always eat at Zaxby's. That's why it means so much to me that Zaxby's is the official chicken of college fans. To me, they go together perfectly. It reminds me of my dad and...
Oh, come on, Ref! Are you serious? Get some glasses! Terrible call!
Now I take my kids to the game, and we always eat at Zaxby's too. It's tradition.
We're proud to be the official chicken of college fans. Zaxby's, indescribably good.
The following is a live production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network and Real Talk 93.3. Fire up your grills. It's time for Tallahassee Game Day on Warchant TV and Real Talk 93.3.
That pass is intercepted to the delight of all Seminole fans. The pick six.
Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang bring you the latest news, updates, and analysis around the FSU program ahead of today's kickoff on Bobby Bowden Field.
2nd and 3, patient and explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now live from Florida's capital city, here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron.
All right, welcome back in Tallahassee Game Day. Great to be with you for Florida State Louisville this afternoon, 3:30 kickoff. Bobby Bowden Field in what will be ideal conditions, obviously. Hopefully, if you're listening to this at your tailgate, you're having a good time enjoying each other's company, getting set, hopefully, to watch a Florida State victory. Appreciate you joining us. If you're on the chat here watching on Warchant TV, good to have you along as well. It is game day. It is time to get excited. A little bit more difficult to muster up that enthusiasm, but after all, you can't beat game day. It's an opportunity, another chance to see Florida State perhaps take a step forward. Hopefully they will. Our interview of the week brought to you by Bud Light. Also want to mention really quick while I can, Tallahassee Noles, take note, this one's for you, announcing the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nolan Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU and Miami game on November the 13th. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter. Please enjoy responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch beverage distributor Tri-Eagle Sales. So he's enjoying life in Kohler, Wisconsin, watching the United States get off to an incredible start at the Ryder Cup, and in fact, a record-breaking start. And he's, I think, just to the left, or is it the right? To the left of the right of the 18th green as Tom Lang joins us right now. T. Lizzie, what's up, baby?
What's up, man? I don't know if you can hear the fans in the distance, but they're welcoming Brooks and Berger to the 9th green. They've got a 30-footer for birdie, and John Rahm misjudged his second shot. So Sergio's got to chip up the hill. So a chance for the Americans to see if they can go back 2 up, man. But it's gorgeous out here. Yeah,
I was going to say, listen, it's nice to be distracted by the Ryder Cup, by golf, by that lovely golf course, and by the stellar play. But it is kind of cool that you come on and mention on Tallahassee Game Day right off the bat that it's Berger and it's Koepka, and those guys were kind of a big part of the storyline yesterday. And tell me, because we all saw the online video of the Warchant. Tell me how that got started, and also, did you start it?
I won't claim to be the one who started it. I can't do that. My honor won't let me. Somebody else did across the way from us. So we were behind the first tee as they emerged, and my thought was that my wife and I would do a Let's Go Noles chant after they do that. You know that little vanity shot that they have before they go to the tee box?
Yeah.
Walk up in front, and the 2 teams. And people just started it right away. And the person, oh, my goodness. I think Sergio just chipped in for birdie.
That's unfortunate.
So our pal, Dr. Joseph St. Germain, from segment last year, was the one who shot that video. But it was pretty crazy, man. It was an atmosphere, and this has been just, I mean, absolutely stellar. And the Noles were a big part of it yesterday. There's no doubt about that.
So, obviously, I know that you're loving life. On the video feed, you're missing this. It says, on the phone, Tom Lang from Rich People Island.
You should have seen the net worth of my flight up, man. Even in economy, these people oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Worth more than my car, that kind of a thing.
That's funny. All right, let's turn our attention to actual football here today. I mentioned before you came on, Tom, that on warchant.com, they could go find your feature, Third and Lang, and you had a chance to break down Louisville and kind of get into the video, if you will. And what is it that you're looking at? What's the perspective you can give us from what you saw while you were working on that feature?
Well, they run a ton of pistol and shotgun with Malik Cunningham. He's much the same player that he was last year, which is to say streaky. You might hear a roar in the background. We'll see the putt from Daniel Berger will be on the way in just a moment. Anyway, I'll continue this. What they do offensively is they isolate matchups as best they can through using that pistol formation. It's offset. They've got a tailback behind Cunningham, and then they've got either a receiver or another tailback to the left, sometimes a tight end as well.
Yeah.
And what I noticed about those plays is a lot of the throws are actually near the line of scrimmage and horizontal. They're just looking to get you in a foot race with one of their skill position players if they can isolate you man on man. And that's what scares me about today, because obviously when you're talking about linebacker coverage in Florida State, those two don't go together the last few years. So that's where I got nervous in taking a look at the scouting report. Otherwise, Malik Cunningham just kind of runs hot and cold. But if he's hot, the throws he can make are just absurd.
Well, this bothers me because our linebackers, as you noted, really struggle in a lot of areas, in particular in coverage. But if we're talking about long stretch plays, things of that ilk, it's tough to figure that Florida State can get that, consistently executed. I worry about it time and again. But I would say this. Were you able to deduce from your video study that Louisville's offensive line is still problematic? Because I think it is.
Yeah, it is. They had issues with UCF at times. You wouldn't know it from the score, but that game it got crazy a little bit later as it went on. I think, again, this is the same thing as last week, that if the front four is engaged for Florida State, they'll be able to blow up a lot of the long developing plays in the background. The one thing that I would be a little bit worried about is Malik Cunningham's standard post-snap action is to drop back deeper and deeper and deeper. So if I was Jermaine Johnson or Keir Thomas, or if they bring in somebody just as an edge rusher in the linebacker core, you're going to want, obviously, to maybe take a wider angle and see if you can't cut them off at the pass. But yeah, there will be opportunities, I think, to stop the run today. It's just, again, we have to have the same conversation. How engaged are they? Because if they are, there could be plays to be made and tackles for loss to rack up.
Other weapons for Louisville, since we're looking at what they do, I mentioned, you mentioned Malik. Obviously, everybody always looks at him, as you should, but at the same time, there's no Tutu Atwell on this team. They don't really have an explosive player at wide receiver. I like what they are at tight end, but beyond that, I don't really see it. They have a pedestrian running back who's very physical, but not dominant. Is there anything else that stood out to you about the playmakers for Louisville?
No, really, it's just about isolating matchups. And remember last year in this game, there were so many pre-snap reads that Malik Cunningham didn't even have to think. There was no confusion whatsoever. You saw that Tutu Atwell was going to be aligned with Travis Jay in the slot, right? And then once you have one-on-one there with a guy like Atwell, who's now playing for the Rams, I think, you're going to go there with the football. I think what today is about for the defense, it's not about isolating on a playmaker other than Malik Cunningham. All that you're looking to do is not be so damn predictable pre-snaps to where Malik Cunningham knows where to go with the football. If they can do a better job of that, then they might have a chance. But I think even still, you're going to have to get to the high 20s, low 30s to win the ball game. And that's a whole nother ball of wax when you're talking about our offense.
I was going to flip sides and go to our offense a little bit here, but also I was going to note, what do you think the race is to? Okay, so you're saying 24, 27. I think it's as high as 30.
No, I agree with you. I think the prediction when we did the video for Warchant with the staff predictions, I had 31-27. It's kind of funny that I think you, me, and Corey all picked 31.
Yeah, we did. I had 31-30. Corey had 31-30. And I didn't realize it was a running joke of his that he picks 31-30 every week. I did not know that. I was looking at the total. I made my prediction based on the total that Vegas had. And I, for once, wanted to proclaim a Florida State victory, and I picked a thrilling 31-30 victory. Now, I did say it was contingent upon whether or not this offensive line is relatively healthy. Do they get both, if not both, maybe at least one of the players that have been out in the form of Maurice Smith and Robert Scott? Because we both know they really can't block it up if they don't have those guys. It was a nightmare watching that group try to perform last week against Wake. And so I do wonder now if they're able to get one of those guys back. Do we see a modicum of success? Also, I am curious, Tom, you and I talked all week long on the Jeff Cameron Show about, the sort of scattershot way in which we've run our offense over these first 3 games where we haven't really been able to stick with any one thing. It seems like they've abandoned game plans pretty early on. What is it you want to see today more than anything else from this offense? Obviously, we do know that Mackenzie Milton is starting.
Yeah, I'd like them to stick with Mackenzie Milton then. You could have told me Jordan Travis is starting, and the answer would have been, I'd like them to stick with Jordan.
Right.
This going back and forth thing is just, it doesn't cut it, man. And you could see it, especially when Mackenzie Milton himself is a streaky player. He runs hot and cold. You need drives in order to even have a chance to get hot. Same thing with Jordan Travis. So for me, I'd like to see a little bit more consistency in personnel. That starts with the quarterback, but then also, does Lawrence Toafili need to get 10 touches?
No.
I don't think so. I think we stick with Trayshawn Ward and Corbin. And if, you have an issue with ball security, maybe for 2 weeks in a row, not think about what you do with Jayshawn Corbin, but you don't want to send a message of abandoning your reliable players like we did last week and then getting all helter-skelter. My hope is that the coaching staff, through the decisions they make today, don't project panic and getting off script like they have the last couple of weeks, second half against Jacksonville State, and then certainly in the entire game against Wake. Obviously I'll lean on you and the signal spotty out here, but I can tell you in about, 2-3 hours time, I'm going to start looking at Twitter to see if our offensive linemen are indeed going to be suiting up, because if they are, then that can make a difference in the running game, which then obviously opens up a lot of things for what we want to do.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier in the show, Tom, you're hitting on some of the themes that I had for today's Tallahassee Game Day, which is, look, obviously nobody's excited about the place Florida State finds themselves in 0-3 through 3 games. We're trying to find a victory here today. I was talking about how there has to be something that gives you hope, something that you can latch onto, something that makes you believe that, okay, we'll see progress as the season unfolds. Well, you never project that when you project panic, when you project desperation. So, to me, you got to see something that you say, okay, that is or is not working. That'll be evident, but it is at least something that they're trying to accomplish. They had a game plan going in. They're willing to stick with it, and they're going to see it through, and hopefully they are able to execute. We're not talking about a devastatingly great defense for Louisville. This is not a group that should own the day. So hopefully Florida State, in the quick game, maybe incorporate tight ends a little bit. We haven't seen much from them at all in this offense. I brought that up as well. Maybe you get the ball out of Mackenzie Milton's hands quickly and you have a chance to make some plays. I got to imagine at some point in time, we'll get ready to wrap up here and I'll let you go enjoy the Ryder Cup, you bum. I would just say that the receivers, while not immensely talented, there are a couple of guys that I think have a chance to emerge as good players before their time at FSU is up, have got to be tired of hearing the football covering world say, boy, Florida State's receivers sure do suck. It'd be nice to make a few plays today out on the edges for the first time this year.
Well, and I don't think that the UCF team that Louisville beat last week is akin to the Mackenzie Milton group with Franklin Smith, right?
Right.
Like, there should be some plays to be made out there today. Yeah, I totally agree. This is something that, it's like we're talking about with linebacker playing offensive line play. Like, we're Florida State. Do we have to go into year 4 or 5 of saying, where are the skill players or where are the guys in the trenches? They've got a couple of players that I feel bad for the receivers, though, because when you have 2 different quarterbacks rotating in and out, or it's a helter-skelter back and forth, that tells me that you're prepping 2 different ways during the week. So, if you're lacking in talent and your details are all over the place because there are 2 different ways to play offense here at Florida State, like, then you're behind the 8 ball before you even release into a route. That's really tough. So hopefully, again, today, maybe through personnel consistency, you might see a couple of plays, but we'll see, man. By drive 3 or 4, how many quarterbacks have we seen in the game? We'll find out.
Go enjoy it, my brother. Cheer on the United States and our Noles as well. And I hope you have a great time, and keep sending me those pictures, man.
I will. All square on the 10th. Brooks did a good drive. We'll see if they can bounce back.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Be good.
See you.
All right. That's Tom Lang, director of original content, Warchant.com, and the Jeff Cameron Show, producer live from the Ryder Cup. Tough times. We're here in a studio. He's live at the Ryder Cup. It's okay, though. Touching back on this, I want to answer Alejandro's question here on the chat. You guys want to see a plan through, even if it's not working, then the conversation will be coaches can't adjust, right? Yeah, no, I'm not one of those guys, Alejandro. I will say that if you give me something, some semblance of a plan as opposed to desperation, I'm not going to hammer them for not adjusting. They'll have, I mean, every coach has to adjust in game to certain elements. You know, one of the things that Florida State did a very good job of in week one, understanding they were going to have a hard time blocking Notre Dame, they created angles. They created leverage and angles. And once they put that on film, though, it's pretty interesting to note Jacksonville State adjusted and beat Florida State to the spot when they tried to create those angles on the offensive line. It'd be interesting to see what Florida State does, because they're having to be very creative in ways that most coaching staffs don't have to be. There are times you're allowed to just block somebody, man up, but Florida State doesn't really have the horses to do it. So at that point, whatever you choose to do, I think you have to, work it that week in install and work it till you're blue in the face, understanding that what won't work is the approach of, hey, let's just try this. Let's just, okay, that doesn't work. All right, let's just go to this. You can't get into rhythms that way. You don't give yourself a chance to wear people down that way. And that, I think, is really the root of a lot of the criticism, is that it appears haphazard. Now, again, I do think their hands are tied in a lot of ways that requires you to have to be creative beyond what is even reasonable. You talk about the red zone stuff. Let me bring this up real quick before we go to break. If you look at Florida State's red zone numbers, they're awful. And you don't even really have to have done the research, because you probably know it just from looking at the games. If you watch the games, Florida State is 126th in the red zone. One of the problems there is that you can't move people off the ball, and you're in a condensed area. So you've got an extra defender with the back line. Everybody knows that, right? So you can trick people from the 20 to the 20. And actually, if you go back to the Wake game, Florida State did trick to varying degrees of success Wake Forest from the 20 to the 20. Now, a lot of it was sort of just experimental, and they ran into a couple of things that really worked out for them, including confusing Wake enough on those tosses, those odd man tosses, where Wake was misaligned. And we ran it back-to-back plays, once to the right, once to the left, and got huge chunk yardage. But again, that wasn't part of the original game plan. That wasn't part of the script. That was sort of, all right. Now, I get it. But now that you know you're not really going to be able to just line up and dominate somebody, it is true. You have to get very creative at the beginning of every week. But the red zone woes, I fear, will remain intact for the rest of the season. Because for all of this talk about game planning and sticking with something and wanting to find an identity, when you get down into the red zone, you have to physically punch people. You have to move them off the ball. You have to earn the tough yards in a condensed area. They're not going to be able to do that. They don't have guys out on the edges that win jump balls. They don't have guys who physically can just use their bodies to shield corners and make plays. You would think maybe with Malik McClain that's possible. There are some guys, some bigger receivers, Williams, guys like that we haven't utilized a lot here. They're awfully young, and they haven't shown that they can be relied upon. Maybe that emerges, and that gives you something of hope down there in the red zone. But if it's about running the ball for 3 or 4 yards to try to push piles, I don't see that happening. And right now, your quarterbacks can't really run it either. And so the red zone woes, I fear, will be intact pretty much for the rest of this season. And that's frustrating, but I also think it's a reality. All right, real quick before we move forward here on Tallahassee Game Day, should remind you of this. If you need a break from the same old sad, sorry salads, give your taste buds a vacation from the ordinary. Try Zaxby's new Southwest salad. They say salad. With warm hand-breaded chicken, fire-roasted corn, juicy tomatoes, crispy Santa Fe tortilla strips, all on a bed of mixed greens and topped with Southwest ranch dressing. It's made to order using only the freshest ingredients. It's only at Zaxby's, a proud Seminole booster of Florida State University for over 15 years. Tallahassee Game Day continues in a moment.
It's pool season, and the huge pool at Killearn Country Club is ready for you. Pool memberships are just $5.99 for the season through September and come with poolside service and unlimited access to the 19th hole. Live the country club life without the country club price. And don't miss the weekly themed Thursday night dinners featuring exquisitely prepared meals paired with the best wines. Stay up to date with all the events and club deals at KillearnCC.com. That's KillearnCC.com.
Hey guys, it's Greg Tish. It's summertime, it's grilling time. But with a grill that just won't light, you're just going to end up with the summertime blues. Yeah, blues and barbecue go hand in hand, but if you get a custom outdoor kitchen built from Hearth and Patio, you'll feel like a rock star every time those flames kick on. They also sell a full line of incredible high-end grills like Fire Magic, Blaze, and Broil Master, all designed to deliver the ultimate in beauty, performance, and durability. Everything you need to elevate your grilling experience can be found at Hearth and Patio. In fact, anything related to fire can be found at Hearth and Patio. Fire pits, gas lighting, indoor and outdoor fireplaces, wood stoves, and even custom-built pizza ovens. Go see for yourself. Check out their services and products online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. That's hearthpatiotallahassee.com, or give them a call, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. At Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Wommel and staff, or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville.
Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state government, including public health and emergency response agencies, our friends at ISF recognize September as National Preparedness Month and want to help you be safe this hurricane season. Visit ISF.com to learn more and download your emergency preparedness plan today. ISF, solving the future.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
I'll never forget
that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
My first call ever as a member of the National Guard.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going out to drop water on the fires. Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If Real Talk was a paycheck, you'd be getting a huge raise. More Real Talk right now on 93.3.
Hey, this is Brian Kilmeade, and I want to hear from you, Tallahassee. Don't miss my show live from 9 till noon, each and every weekday on Real Talk 93.3, Tallahassee's Real Talk station.
Tallahassee GameDay is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Louisville averages 165 yards on the ground. They also give up nearly as many, 162 per game on the ground. So why do I bring it up? Well, I think it's something to point to if we're going to do our next segment, which is Who's Hot and Who's Cold, brought to you by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, a long-time trusted partner of the Jeff Cameron Show. Turn to the experts at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning for all your cooling and heating needs this fall. Head to BaranoAC.com or call 850-580-4029. Well, I think you got to go straight to Jashawn Corbin and Trayshawn Ward. Now, I understand the fumble from Jashawn Corbin last week was a devastating turn of events, given that Florida State got the early break they so desperately needed with the interception. But Corbin's a very reliable player. He's a guy through 3 games that has carried the ball 37 times, rushed for 283 yards for a 7.6 average, did have that long touchdown run, obviously, against Notre Dame that was electrifying. I don't think we thought he had that in him, so showing signs, again, that explosiveness is back from when he had the injury before transferring back into Florida State. So Trayshawn Ward is a guy that has emerged, too, that the fans desperately want to see run the football. 25 carries on the year, 177 yards. He has carried for an average of 6.8 yards per carry. He has looked very, very good as well. So those 2 individuals, as we continue to talk about what Florida State can do to improve and what Florida State can do to kind of formulate a game plan, those are guys that I think you have to formulate the game plan around as best you can, given your restrictions on the offensive line. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I will also say, today, as we look ahead and talk about who's cold, well, it's this Florida State passing attack. While we're still in the discussion, it hasn't been good. I mean, you've got 2 guys that are averaging, in essence, less than 100 yards passing a game. That'll hurt your feelings. The pass per attempt yardage is dreadful. So if you look at all the advanced metrics, everything about this passing attack is ugly. And that has to get better. And you got to give yourselves a chance. So I think formulating a game plan around the run and then throwing off of that, as rudimentary as that sounds, I think that gives you your best opportunity. We also know you're not really going to be able to dial up plays down the field. Now, they do have efforts, and they have efforted, and we've seen it work a couple of times this year. And actually, there have been opportunities for more. They will dial up shot plays after doing a lot of the underneath stuff. So they have, that's kind of what they've been able to do. They've been able to hit a home run here and there because they've got teams to where they creep up because they don't have to respect much in the way of explosiveness from the receivers. So they have been able to formulate and come up with plans to get a shot player there, here or there. Got to make them count when you do. Obviously, they did with Pokey. Obviously, they did at the beginning of the year as well with Ja'Kai Douglas. But when you get those chances, and I'm talking about the one that Keyshawn Helton dropped, you got to make it count because Florida State's not going to be a prolific offense. Florida State's not going to be an offense that can drive the ball consistently and make big plays and score into the 30s and 40s each week. Let's be frank. It's just not that kind of an offense. So when you get an opportunity to make a play, you got to make it. I am curious to see today what the offense looks like. I have a suspicion that if he's healthy, and that's a big if, and that is something, too, that we haven't spent a lot of time on. But, this week, McKenzie Milton was obviously the guy that was announced as the starter. And Jordan Travis is nursing injury. Jordan Travis has remained hurt. We saw him at the end of this last game in a familiar form, in a familiar pose. And that is one in which the shoulder is dipped, and you can tell there's a lot of pain there. And I hate it for the young man because I know mentally he's tough. Mentally, he wants to make plays, and he does everything in his power to do so. But let's be honest about what he is so far this year. He has not been a dynamic runner, and now he's hurt. And I feel like McKenzie Milton is in a similar position because we know, first of all, he can't really run. But secondly, he's a guy that I think has still continued to battle physical maladies since coming over. And, I understand why Florida State wanted to bring him in. If he was able to recapture any of that glory at UCF and return to form, then he's a big-time player, has had his big moments against elite competition. And so I understand why Florida State made the effort to do it. But the reality to me, with the amount of time he missed, and then physically watching him throw a football, and then seeing all the times that he's had to come to the sideline and they work on that leg and that foot, I just don't think he's right either. So watching him today, I'm hoping they get the ball out of his hands quickly. I don't want McKenzie Milton taking a lot of hits. That stands to reason for any quarterback, but it's especially true when you've got guys that are nursing injuries because for as much as people will say, well, at some point you're going to have to go to Chuba Purdy. Well, yeah, maybe at some point you are. Maybe there will be a reason that you're forced to do so because you just don't have the health of either Travis or McKenzie Milton. But Chuba, frankly, has not looked the part in practice. He's not been a guy that we've seen take a big step forward. that stands to reason as well. When you miss as much time as he did a year ago, it's awfully difficult to make ground up in a hurry. So he's played when he has practice, he's looked healthy, and that's good to see, because much of his time at Florida State has been that of a guy who's been dealing with injury and complications from said injury and a lot of frustration. But his attitude is right. His work ethic is there, and he's physically back healthy. But I haven't seen him make real strides from the pocket as a passer. He's a guy who I think will obviously be able to run the football a little bit with more conviction. If, in fact, he's in the game, we may actually see him today. We'll see. Tallahassee Noles, take note. This one's for you, announcing the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nolan Tallahassee, text Bud Light fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light fan, all one word, to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU-Miami game on November the 13th. You got to be 21 years of age or older to enter. Please enjoy responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch beverage distributor Tri-Eagle Sales. Coming up, defensive keys to the game. I think I know what those are. We'll touch on it next on Tallahassee Game Day.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley.
Attention!
It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, or new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Security benefits isn't something they want you to know how to do. Many people are unaware of unused benefits that are owed to them. Hi, this is Craig Collins from Collins Income Tax Solutions. And if you're wondering whether or not your Social Security is going to be there for you, I can help. Contact me today to schedule a free consultation to learn how we can help maximize your Social Security benefits. You can find me online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com. That's collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state government, including public health and emergency response agencies, our friends at ISF recognize September as National Preparedness Month and want to help you be safe this hurricane season. Visit ISF.com to learn more and download your emergency preparedness plan today. ISF, solving the future.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. This summer you can save money and stay comfortable. Ask about our annual service agreement with no overtime charges ever. At Barano Heating and Air, we're always there for you.
Online at baranoac.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Bert, tomorrow, 3:30, kickoff at Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field. Louisville playing decent, better than FSU. What is your score prediction for tomorrow's game?
13-45, Florida State.
45-13?
Yep, 45-13. Big win.
45-13, Maddie. That's a blowout, dude. Okay.
Awesome, brother. Always great talking to you. I can't wait to see you in Tallahassee.
Fantastic. Bert Kreischer, everybody.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Well, Florida State has had a real hard time on third down getting off the field. They're 91st in the country in doing so, whereas Louisville, for example, on the other side of the ball, is 9th in the country. They're getting off the field, so that is always Always a way to help stay fresh late. And Florida State's depth of defensive talent isn't great, so they're going to have to do a better job of that if they expect to have any sort of life in the fourth quarter of this game, if it's a close game indeed. So we look at the defensive keys to the game right now, and I think for starters, you're going to have to keep Malik McLean, for the most part, bottled up the best you can and have him throw out of the pocket. You don't want him running around extending plays. That's a guy that can really beat you with his legs. I know it's easier said than done, but this has been a group that up front defensively has been very good. It's the strength of the team right now. They've hit the quarterback. The numbers bear that out. And I gave some of those numbers earlier in the show. Also, just given that Cunningham has been a guy that has at times shown that he can wilt in these moments if you've hit him. I mean, that's why you hear people describe him as hot and cold. When things are going swimmingly and he's not getting hit, he gets very comfortable, utilizes that athleticism, makes some plays, extends plays, and does a good job. When he's getting hit, he begins to see the rush, and he's a guy that stops looking downfield. So I would really hope, obviously, you keep him from getting outside the tackles and making plays with his legs. And I think you have a fighting chance to do that today. I think that's where Florida State's strength is. So if Florida State's going to win, they're going to do that. And the other thing I would note is I would tell you that, hey, if you're able to get it to 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, this is a problem. This has been a continuous problem for Florida State. Make a play. This is so difficult at times to watch because I want to say, despite some disappointing elements of what we've done defensively, I want to say they haven't played all that poorly. I think by and large, Fuller's group has played pretty well. They were put in an untenable situation a week ago with all of the turnovers and the extended drives because of the roughing the punter penalty, even though that was garbage, and the obviously unnecessary roughness penalty or personal foul penalty, I should say, sorry, on Jerry Jones, which was also nonsense. They've had some bad breaks, and they've been put in bad positions. And I'm not saying they're world beaters, but they have improved immensely. The one area where they could do themselves a huge favor is when there's a play to be made in that secondary, guys have got to catch the football. I don't know how many dropped interceptions Florida State has this year, but it's a lot. And part of the problem with that is that a year ago in this game, you'll recall this, a year ago in this game, part of what left us all just mouths agape in shock was how free Tutu Atwell and everybody else was running in our secondary. There was nobody to be found. You couldn't, if you're watching on television this game, you couldn't spot Florida State's nearest defender on your TV. That has not been the case for Florida State this year in any way, shape, or form. You're not seeing guys running wide open free. Now, you see guys beating our corners. You see guys doing a good job against man, and absolutely, we all know a couple of guys have been on the wrong end of those long pass plays, but it's not because they didn't know their assignment. They didn't know where to be. A lot of times they have either not played with great leverage and or they just got run by. And that is on Adam Fuller in this defensive staff to understand that some guys simply are being asked to do things they can't. So, yes, I lean towards wanting to see some more cover 3, cover 4 type stuff, more zone type stuff. But there have been Travis Jay has had it happen. Brownlee's had it happen. A lot of guys have had their moments. Dent had it happen where the hands are on the ball. You got to make a play. Reward yourself for the work. When you're in phase and you're able to stay with a guy, I know, all jokes aside, we've seen a lot of guys get run by again, but I can count 6 times that I can think of this year where guys did everything technically right. They covered well. They used good technique. They got their head around. Ball's there. Didn't make a play. When you're fragile, when you're struggling, when you're hoping to kick your way out of this hellhole, you've got to find the time, the opportunities. You got to find it within you, the opportunities to make those plays, because nobody's coming to help us, and nobody feels sorry for Florida State. You've got to do this yourself. It can be maddening to see all of that work go to waste because you do the hard part. You do the hard part where you're in position, and then you don't make the play. It's just one more frustration. I go back to the beginning of Tallahassee GameDay, to this show, where Mike Norvell talked about, having to learn something from the mistakes that they've made, having to, not have this go, for naught. It's already tough enough to lose football games, but if you're not learning and then taking that lesson in overcoming it the next week, it just becomes another disappointment and not a way to grow. In fact, that quote again, we're having to go through painful moments. It's challenging. We're a very young team. We have guys that are being put in positions where, with all the right intentions, they're learning some tough lessons that they haven't experienced in the past. And for us, we can't allow the pain of some of our failures to go wasted. We've got to learn the lessons. We've got to apply the lessons week to week. I think it's smart there to not deflect and not try to, I guess, talk your way out of the disappointments, but rather acknowledge them. Accept that, oh, sure, yeah, we all realize this is unacceptable. We all realize this is not good. But you can learn even when you're going through this. You can learn, how to do certain things better, how to give yourself a better opportunity each week. You can find a way to grow. And that's what today is. Today is a day where us as fans are wanting to see it from the coaches. Coaches are wanting to see it from the players. Hopefully it adds up to a win. Ultimately, that's what you're there to do. But you can't look like there's nothing happening each game, each week in practice on to the next. You can't look that way. You have to look like a buttoned-up group that has a chance to grow each week that they take the field. Let's see if they do. I mean, at this point, I think there's nowhere to go but up. So let's be honest with ourselves. Seems like everyone's got a chicken sandwich these days, so which one do you want to try? Luckily, one sandwich towers above all the others in size and deliciousness, Zaxby's signature sandwich. It's an extra large hand-breaded filet and 3 thick-cut pickle chips on a split-top bun, and it comes with your choice of Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce, which I've had. It's very good. I like the spicy Zax sauce. It's big. It's delicious. It's only at your neighborhood Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud supporter of the Florida State Seminoles. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment. Come back and give you some score predictions, get caught up, and round out the show.
What's important when shopping at a gun store? Let's start with a friendly and knowledgeable staff. Then add top.
Imagine a salad made with only the freshest vegetables, with grilled or hand-breaded chicken, and topped with Southwest Ranch dressing. Big enough to fill you up without weighing you down. Made to order, when you order, in that order. Try our new Southwest salad with fire-roasted corn, tomatoes, and crispy tortilla strips. Just one of our made-to-order salads. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards. Scan to pay. Order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. This summer, you can save money and stay comfortable. Ask about our annual service agreement with no overtime charges ever. At Barano Heating and Air, we're always there for you.
Online at baranoac.com. Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Everyone has their own routine after a long day. For me, I like to take a walk with my dog, get some fresh air, maybe relax on the porch, and lay in my hammock in a nice shady spot. No matter what your routine is, you know the sound of those mosquitoes. It starts with just, then another, and then another. And before you know it, you're literally slapping yourself, running for safety inside. Paul's Termite and Pest Control has an inexpensive solution to this persistent problem. Paul's has a program that treats the grounds, flower beds, shrubs, and standing water, and it controls mosquitoes year-round, which means you can take back control of your yard and quit smacking yourself across the face. Enjoy your yard again, mosquito-free. Call Paul's Termite and Pest Control today for your free consultation for the elimination of termites or any other pest. Visit Paul's online at callpauls.com. That's callpauls.com.
It all started with a simple family dream, some hard work, and the foundation of honest, loyal, and fair customer service. Now, Spartan Stoneworks is Tallahassee's premier granite, marble, and quartz specialist. Your kitchen is your family's gathering place. So let a company with strong family values bring your kitchen back to life. Stop wishing for your new kitchen and call Spartan Stoneworks today at 510-4249. That's 510-4249. Online at spartanstoneworks.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Our friends at Triangle Sales bring you an opportunity to enjoy a one-of-a-kind experience presented by Bud Light. It's the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nolan Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU and Miami game on November 13th. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. Must be 21 or older to enter. Please enjoy Bud Light responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch distributor Triangle Sales.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole boosters for over 15 years. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, slowly we get back to... I was racing back in. Oh, man. Wrapping it up on Tallahassee Game Day, and appreciate you watching on Warchant TV. Another reminder before we get out of here for the day that I will be joining Gene Williams post-games. No, I'm not. I'm here, and I wasn't doing shots, by the way. I'm seeing the chat. No. I wasn't doing shots at Corner Pocket yesterday, and I'm right here in studio. But I would tell you that after the game today, I will be joined with Gene Williams, and we will take your calls. Normally Tom does it, but I'm filling in for him this week, so look forward to the post game. You know why? I'm really excited to talk about this win. I'm really excited about Florida State's first victory of the season. There you go, right? That's the kind of positivity I was told people wanted to hear before the end of the show. And I don't normally just say it. I actually think Florida State has a very good chance to win today. We've talked a lot about contingencies and things that have to happen for Florida State to win. Right off the bat, everybody's going to be watching very, very closely to see the health of this offensive line. You know, all predictions basically kind of go out the window if Florida State's not healthy up front. And that's been the biggest thing. Like you can want to win, and you can talk about learning lessons, and you can talk about getting better, and you can talk about all the things that have to happen. But the truth is you can't win if you're not able to block. And Florida State has not had a healthy offensive line. They haven't had a talented offensive line. And that is a deadly combination that leaves it almost impossible to win a football game. Now, let me say this as I get set for the game prediction and the score prediction. We want to thank our friends at Lane's Medical Shop who sponsor the segment with locations in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop offers all your medical supply needs. They even have delivery and emergency services available. Lane's Medical Shop, 229-758-9111. Tell them Jeff Cameron and Warchant.com sent you for a half-off discount. Thanks to Lane's Medical Shop, 229-758-9111. Obviously, all afternoon, all morning, I should say. You've heard it, but we always thank our friends at Zaxby's as well, as they are the title sponsor for this. So we appreciate their help in allowing us to execute this. I said 31:30 when Warchant asked me to send in my video, and I did. And I thought, that sounds like it's even plausible. That said, I'll tell you this. Again, it's going to be dependent on whether or not you can block it up at all. And I do think if you get one of your two offensive linemen back, you got a shot. In particular, the tackle and Robert Scott. Robert Scott's a guy that still has a long way to go. He's a guy that is, I think getting better in his time here. He got a lot stronger in the offseason. His upside is pretty good. Not going to be a dominant player, I don't think. I don't think he's the kind of guy that we're going to be talking about at the end of his career as a first-round pick. I'm not suggesting that, but he can certainly be more than serviceable. And I'm going to go ahead and say that if he's back, you've got yourself a fighting chance. More so than if Maurice Smith is back. And what I mean by that, and Maurice Smith is an upgrade for you at center, significant one at that. Bayvion's been serviceable. Bayvion filling in for him has been pretty good. So that hasn't been the end of the world. So I will say that you can live without Maurice Smith, but you have no answers out there at tackle. You have zero answers out there at tackle when he's out. And by the way, this makes me laugh. Briley writes, we would get our first win when Tom misses out the post game. All the pain, none of the glory. The football gods are absolutely going to curse Tom with that. Yeah, you know what I was told this week by Gene and others? Jeff, if we win and you're hosting the post game and you did the solo Tallahassee game day, Tom's going to be out of work. Not like literally out of work, but he just on-air stuff is gone. That's it. They're going to be post-game. Cameron, you got to do the post-game every week. No. I'm not doing the post-game every week. I like to have fun at these games without the responsibility that comes with having to go on the air afterwards. I kid somewhat. I will say this. I do think Florida State will play appreciably better this weekend than they did last. In defeat or victory, they'll play appreciably better. I think you're going to see some changes. You're saying you don't feel too bad? Yeah, I agree with it. These. Oh, I can't read that on the air. You guys, we're still on the air. I know we're winding it down, but we're still on the air. You can't post things like that. So they'll play appreciably better, primarily because after it was funny to me. After the game last week, it seemed that a lot of fans were hyper focused on whether or not Mike Norvell's calling plays. And I think if you go back and look at his history, if you go back and look at Mike Norvell, what he's always done and the success he's had as a play caller, a lot of those things haven't shown up here. And a lot of the play calling seems to be less consistent than what we've seen from him in the past. And so I got the sense, and I don't know, but I'll be watching this carefully too, that he was ready to take back over play calling. And it's interesting with coaches. I remember I've had the good fortune of doing interviews with head coaches for the most part for 20 years here and offensive coordinators and all that, 20 plus years. I did it with Jimbo every year he was here, whether he was an OC or head coach in waiting and then eventually head coach. Head coaches get asked all the time how much they're willing to delegate, what has to happen for you to give play calling duties up, especially if they're an offensive mind. What has to happen for you to relinquish those duties? Most of the time, if guys kind of came up and cut their teeth on calling plays, and they have an offensive system that they believe in wholeheartedly and that they have shaped over the course of their career, shaving some things, adding others, if they're creative minds, they want to continue to call plays. They also understand once they become a head coach that a lot of times it can be very, very difficult because they have so many other duties. And when you have a lot of holes in your team, you have a lot of flaws within your team, you are busy trying to put out fires. You're busy running around trying to make everything else work more efficiently. And so you're perhaps in a moment willing to give up those duties if you have a guy that you hire that you trust, that seems to have the same. Obviously, you don't hire a guy that has beliefs that run antithetical to what you're trying to do. So you say, well, he understands what we're trying to do. After all, play calling is something that There are parameters. This is what we run on 3rd and short. This is what we run in the red zone. This is what we run 2nd and long. There's a group of plays. The sheet is there. They are your plays. They just have the choice when to call those plays. But when it goes south and things get ugly and people start complaining about your offense and you see some pretty questionable moments like that 4th and 2 call, yeah, they tend to want to immediately go back and say, okay, that was grand opening, grand closing. That experiment is done. I think Mike calls the plays today. If you're healthy up front, give me the Noles, 31-30. I'll stick with 31-30, which, if, by the way, it's 31-30 and I'm doing the post game, oh, my God. I will have been on the verge of cardiac arrest. We can't get that close and have it. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You get ready to donate, everybody. I'll go 31-30 Florida State. Director Matthew, good work out of you, sir. Appreciate it. Our thanks to Tom as he enjoyed the Ryder Cup, but did call in at least and give us a little taste of what's going on there. My thanks to all of you for listening to Tallahassee GameDay and, of course, our sponsors. And my thanks to you guys on the chat there on Warchant TV. Be well. Go Noles. Enjoy the day. It's going to be gorgeous out there. If you're going to the game, have fun. And hopefully we're talking about the Noles' first victory afterwards in the post game on Warchant TV. About 10 minutes after the game ends, myself, Gene Williams, join us. Feel free to call in, chime in. We'll be taking your calls. I'll be hosting. Gene and I will be talking about this, the first victory of the year. Let's hope it's true. Tallahassee GameDay next week as well for a home game against Syracuse. So we hope you join us there too. Be good, everybody. Go Noles.